What do motherhood and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu have in common? Well, honestly, it's quite a bit more than you might think. Both require patience, both require adaptability, and both require humility. And both have a way of exposing the areas where we still need to grow. Over the last few years, almost three actually, I've spent countless hours on the mats training jujitsu while also raising children, homeschooling, and managing a home. And now preparing to welcome our fourth baby into the family. And the more I've trained, the more I've realized that some of the biggest lessons I've learned on the mats apply directly to motherhood. Hey there, I'm Ashley Elizabeth Harvey. I'm a homeschooling homemaker, fitness enthusiast, jujitsu practitioner, and the host of the Reps and Redemption podcast, where we talk about faith, fitness, family, and living intentionally in every season. In today's YouTube video, I want to share a few of the surprising similarities I've found between motherhood, mom life, and jujitsu. And while this video includes a little footage of me rolling actually at 36 weeks pregnant with very trusted partners, this isn't really a video about training while pregnant. It's more a video about growth, adaptation, and learning to work with the season that you're in rather than constantly fighting against it. I'd like to share a few things that motherhood and jujitsu simultaneously have taught me. One of the first things you learn in jujitsu or when you start training is that when someone or something isn't working, you have to adjust. You don't keep forcing the same thing over and over again. Motherhood is very much the same way. What worked when your child was 2 may not work when they're 8. What worked before another baby arrives may not work afterwards. And I'm already in that planning phase. That growth requires adjustment. And that's one of the biggest things I've learned about training jujitsu as a mom. The second thing I've learned is that slow is fast. There's a saying that one of my last professors would say. He said, slow is smooth, smooth is fast, and beginners often rush. Experienced practitioners learn to slow down. And motherhood teaches us that same lesson. Sometimes the answer isn't pushing harder. Sometimes the answer is just slowing down long enough to think clearly, pray, breathe, and respond intentionally. This can be quite hard when you're training jujitsu because sometimes your opponent is moving very quickly. Your opponent is wanting the dominant position just like you are. And when you have to take a minute because maybe you don't know what to do next, maybe you haven't connected the dots. I know after training about a year and a half, maybe even 2 years, that's when I finally started to understand there's sequences to the either submission or sweep or escape or grip that I am trying to get out of, or reinitiate. And sometimes the sequence, you don't know it because it's a new one and you have to adjust again and again. But the more you practice and the more you train, the more you understand that particular position and you can apply it with different partners, different training partners. And then you also have to apply it in different ways because, like I said a few moments ago, that what worked when your child was 2 might not work when they're 8 and probably won't work when they're 8, 9, or 10. Well, when you get a new training partner, they're going to either know a lot more or a lot less, or maybe be on the same playing field. They're going to be bigger, smaller, the size difference, everything like that. And you have to adjust, especially with the position and the season that you're in. So, like I said, it's not pushing harder, but sometimes you just need to slow down long enough to really get a really good idea of where you are positionally. The second thing I want to talk about is frames before offense. So one of the first things I learned in jujitsu definitely was not submissions at all. I was striving to survive. It was I was in pure survival mode. And in a way, I still am almost at 3 years of training. But first, it's frames, then escapes, and protecting myself from getting smashed. So, what a frame is you're using your skeletal body structure to block or shift maybe their face or get yourself out of a poor position or get to the next best poor position, as my last professor would say. And once you do get smashed, once something like that actually happens to you, where your breath and the pressure of the person on top of you is just absolutely suffocating, there's no feeling in the world like it. And you will definitely start utilizing your frames and you will get very good at escaping. And only later did I start focusing more on sweeps and submissions because I needed to get the basics first. The same principle applies to motherhood. Before we can thrive, we often have to learn how to stabilize, how to create healthy boundaries. Those are frames, how to manage our homes, how to build rhythms that support our families. You know, strong foundations come before advanced skills. And sometimes I want to rush these foundations, especially as a mom, especially training jujitsu. I want to do that cool stuff that I see in the fights that I watch. I want to pull off that wild submission, but I can't get there until I learn how to manage and build rhythms that support the foundation. I need to build that foundation of knowledge first, and then the advanced skills will come. That is definitely a lot like mom life. The fourth point I want to make is that every season looks different. Right now, I'm in a very, very slow season of jujitsu. I've had to come to a place of accepting that because I absolutely love training jujitsu. As much as I do strength training, it's one of my favorite things to do. I love working very hard at it. I love the cardiovascular challenge it gives me. I love the physical contact. I'm in a very slow season of jujitsu. In fact, by the time you're watching this video, I may have already stepped away from the mats temporarily to welcome our baby girl. And in this footage that you're watching, I'm actually 36 weeks pregnant. So I continued until about 38 weeks, and that's okay. But for a long time, I struggled with slowing down, and growth isn't always about doing more. Sometimes growth in the season that you're in is learning to rest. Sometimes growth is learning to trust that you'll come back when the season is right. And I have had to adjust that mindset and do that very well in my life as a mom. That sometimes growth in motherhood is learning to rest, bring my household to a place of peace, peace in the Lord, peace together as a unit, as a family unit. And that season, when it's ready to push and when we are ready to push, when we're ready to be a little bit busier, then we can just dive in when the season is right. But knowing what season you're in makes all the difference. And the fifth point I want to make is that your presence matters. One of the most beloved things I love about this sport and about jujitsu is that it really demands your full attention. You cannot be thinking about your grocery list, scrolling on your phone. You have to be completely present. And you know what this made me think of? Labor and birth. They're both very similar. Motherhood often requires the same thing as well. And the people in front of us need us to be present. Not perfect, not everywhere, but just present. And I think that jujitsu has taught me that once I walk on the mat, I can release everything else that's been on my mind, everything that's been going on. And it's given me almost a solace of sorts, very similar to, honestly, I compare it to needing to meet with the Lord in the morning, being present with Him, putting Him first. And when I get to the mat, I leave all of my roles, my duties behind, and I have to focus on that one thing. Because when I don't, and trust me, my mind's been other places at times, but it's really hard to think of anything else because someone is physically trying to submit you. You need to be all there. And that's why I do believe that motherhood often requires the same thing. The enemy, the world, I mean, even our own self, our own children, They're all trying to submit us in some way. So the people in front of us need us to be present. We need to be present. And like I said, not perfect, just present. Whether it's jujitsu, strength training, running, or something completely different, I think every mom needs something that challenges her, teaches her, and remind her who she is outside of the daily responsibilities of life. Of course, we get our identity from the Lord first and foremost. But I do think doing something like this is so important and beneficial for you and your family. And for me, obviously, that's been jujitsu. And while this season may require me to step away for a little while, I'm grateful for everything it's taught me, not just about the sport, but about life, motherhood, and becoming the woman God is calling me to be. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.